his economics don't make sense. And you just were telling your colleague at a university in 2015, leading up to the 2016 elections, oh, well, when I was working in the Clinton administration, we had big plans to do all this stuff, but then they pulled me in the side of the room and the chief of staff was like, you'll get fired if you keep this up. You're on staff and that's great, but know your place. And Stiglitz was saying the same thing, essentially. Nobody's going to do what you're talking about, but you demonized up until this last election a month ago. Oh, and the Republicans are so bad, and Donald Trump's policy on China. Meanwhile, you in 2015 were sitting there talking to Stiglitz, who won a Nobel Prize writing about sometimes globalism is a big scam with, oh, we're going to share an economy and we're going to have gig workers and it's all going to be great. You just twisted that. Your own words and your own discussion because you don't like conservatives. The simple solution is, it didn't matter. You should have, instead of being on the internet and telling grad students and kids that like the president and all these people are terrible and economics is bad in the White House and that you have a better way, you should have just said the sitting administration did a great job economically, except trickle-down economics, you have to really supervise it or it will never trickle down because companies steal the money. But you should have said, and by the way, when Democrats get into office, they talk a lot, but then their chief of staff or their senior advisors will always say, come here, you better curb that lip with your economic advice. We like you here as a figurehead like Stiglitz and all, but we're not going to listen to most of that stuff you say because we're funded by the same companies that siphon off the money. And I'm not putting words in this guy's mouth. I'm saying when you watch this, you can watch it. It's free. It's on YouTube. It's UC Berkeley, Reich and Stiglitz talking about Freefall, the book Freefall that he wrote a year before that, and they were doing a book tour. They're saying all the same things that pissed off Americans that caused the 2016 election, and yet leading up to this election, it was the same moron talk. Oh, we're going to get Joe Biden in office, and he's going to change everything. We're going to go back to being friendly and free traders with foreign governments because Donald Trump's just terrible. Well, then Reich, your brain, as sharp as it is rotting out of your head. You and Stiglitz just said there were parts in forget George Bush. A lot of his policies were economically not so good in terms of starting wars and paying for them. I'm just talking about Obama and then back to Clinton. Both of you, as you're sitting there talking at University of California, are like, yeah, there were a lot of policies that just did not get done the right way, and a lot of corporations stuck their hands in the cookie jar and got a lot of money and exploited it for profit. And it's the same thing that people are worried about now. If it were me, I would be saying, hey, look, it didn't matter. The current administration, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just they need someone like a Robert Reich or a Stiglitz actually making economic policy. You can have a conservative executive branch. You need a balanced Congress, but you could use a balanced or a leftist, non-supply sider economist on the senior level of economic advisors. That would be fair. But for Robert Reich to be on and saying all these things about how terrible the administration, how great it's going to be if Biden could just win, you're delusional. Because when you worked in other administrations, as you saw, they were like, yeah, we're all trying to get paid. And so yes, just like you said, I'm not paraphrasing. There's a section in there, and you're like, well, you know, they were excited about the ACA, but then nobody mentioned on the other side, insurance companies figured out how to make money on the back end. So I go into a hospital and I get treated, and that's free. Well, what happens for people who are sick, who need free health care? Guess what happens? They usually get assigned some prescription. The doctor is going to say, you need prescription drugs. Oh, whoops, those aren't on sale. You bring the cost of my car down, and then you're like, see what I did for the American people? This is great. We're subsidizing you to buy a car. Oh, whoops, I forgot to tell you. The price of fuel is doubled. It's misleading. And all I'm saying is, when I watch you guys talk amongst each other, these two top respected economists, they'll say that to each other. on their on Reich's videos, though, everything is, oh my God, Donald Trump's policies are so bad. The Republican, everybody's evil. It's all partisan. It's bullshit.